3:45 p.m. in California, and today I'm going to be kind of jumping around back and forth in time. I'm going to start off here after the market close and just show you a couple of updates on a couple of other trades that I'm working on, and then I'm going to jump back to the market open this morning and then do our 0 DTE Strangler, our SPY Strangler trade, as we do every day. But first I wanted to show you a couple of quick things if you can update. If you saw my video the other day, I made a video on the up and down, or the Sir Isaac Newton strategy, which is a strategy that takes care of me when I'm down and out. No, that takes advantage of the whole, what I call the VIX gravity situation. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link in the description below. I'm also going to try to put a little link in the upper right hand corner. This YouTube stuff is sort of all new to me, so apparently I can put a link in the upper right hand corner, and you can click on that link and go check out like whatever I'm referencing right now. So right now I'm going to try that in the post process of this. After I finish making it, I'm going to try to put a little link in the upper right hand corner that says the Newton's Apple trade or something like that. Just click on that and that'll take you to the video that I'm referring to. It's a longer video that explains this whole Sir Isaac Newton trade. But I'll also leave a link in the description so you can check it out there. Just go down to the description and then click on the link that says the Sir Isaac Newton trade or something similar to that. Anyway, here's the trade that I put on. This was a real money trade that I did for that little video I made. And I closed this out, not today, I closed out yesterday, but I wasn't able to make a video on the closing of it yesterday, so I'm just doing it today, one day late. But let's take a look at this position. So on 7/24, let me load these up in the Analyze tab so we can see them better. There's an open and a close on this. And let's also go over to the chart. Okay, so here's our three charts. We got the VIX over here on the left. We have the SVIX, which is an inverse ETF to the VIX in the middle. And then over here on the right panel, we have the SPY, the S&P 500 ETF, SPY. So again, to get the full details of this, just go back and watch that video. I'll put a link to it in the description below. It's called the Sir Isaac Newton trade, and it utilizes this SVIX, the one that's in the middle here, the inverse ETF. And the really fast version of it is when the VIX spikes up, the SVIX will spike down because it's the inverse. So as the VIX spikes up and it reaches a certain level, and all of like how I enter and all that good stuff is in that longer video that I'll leave a link to, the Sir Isaac Newton trade. But the basic premise is when the VIX spikes up, this is going to come down, and if the VIX spikes up within certain levels, I feel 99.9999999% certain that the VIX will revert back down, because the VIX is the average of the VIX price is always down in here from what I've seen over the last 20 years, between 10 and 20-ish. So on a spike up here, you can see that this was just kind of barely 220, but this one got up to 21. And if you go back, you'll see that there's spikes up occasionally, and every single spike that happens, every single damn one, it comes back down. And so that's what we're playing. We're playing the move down, and to do that, we just use the inverse ETF, SVIX, because when the VIX spikes up, the SVIX spikes down, and we can get at a better entry, and we just get shares. They have options now, which I'll start to look at. I have never traded an option on the SVIX, but I have traded the shares. Like a lot of times I've done this trade. So when the SVIX comes down to a certain level, and again, watch that previous video I made called the Sir Isaac Newton trade for all the details on what I'm looking for and all that. I get in here and I ride this back up, because this will go back up as the VIX comes back down, inevitably comes back down, like it always comes back down. And so I ride that up. That's how I make my money. So let's take a look at the trade that I made this week. So I bought right here on, I forget the date now. It was like on last week on one of the days. I bought the SVIX at 42.57 because I saw this spike up. I saw this spike up, bigger than normal spike in the VIX. So that was my clue, my cue to get in. So I came in here, and I think it was like around 42. It says right where it's at. It was at 42.57. So let's go back to the chart. 42.57 was Let me zoom in even closer on this. 42.57 was in here-ish. 42. Oh no, we're down here. 42.57 was down in here. So that's where I got in. I got in on this day, I'm pretty sure. This is 724. I got in at this point here just because it kind of caught my attention that the VIX was spiking. So I bought shares at this point, 100 shares, which you'll see right here. That's 100 shares at 42.57, and then I just waited. And the thing is, I just wait for the VIX to. It got a little overexcited, and it's going to come calm back down to more of its normal range, which you can see here. It started to do that. The next day, it kind of went a little bit lower, and then it started to make its move up. And so, just having done this enough times, I didn't want to sit around and wait because now we're down again today. So I got out yesterday at what price? At 43.36. 43.36 is, so right about here, I got out of it. And so I made that little bit of profit. Just that little bit of a move too. So it was just this little bit of a move, basically 42.70ish to this right there. Just that was the move that I made, or that it made, and I sold out those shares yesterday for a little profit of $78, which isn't bad for what I like to call, what I used to call the surest thing to a sure thing, the closest thing to a sure thing. Just because how VIX gravity takes effect and this comes back down. Will always come back down after a spike. Eventually, I believe it'll always come back down. So let's just take advantage of that and write it down. And this is a cool vehicle to do it with. And so that's that. So that's just the update real quick on that. If you haven't watched that whole video on that, it's called the Sir Isaac Newton trade. I'll leave a link in the description below. And hopefully I'll be able to do it right here in the upper right-hand corner as well. Click on that. Go check it out. It's I think it's a super cool strategy. And it's one of my favorites. The only downside is it's not something you can consistently put on day by day. You have to basically wait for the VIX to get overexcited, which it does, pretty regularly. But you can see here. So this would have been a great trade. I didn't get into that one. I was asleep at the wheel on that one. I just forgot about it. Maybe you can also use these little spikes if you're really super nimble. But this one was big enough to get my attention. This one worked, as you saw. But as we go back, you'll see that, there's periods of time. Here's December, January, February, March. I guess that could have been one there. But it can be like a month or two, or maybe even 3, before you get like a really obvious signal. Again, you can play these little ones if you're nimble and really good at it. But for the big obvious ones, here's an obvious one here. You could have played that. That was in October. So they don't come along every single day, or even every single week, or even every single month. So it's just kind of like you have to keep an eye out on the VIX and just make note to self when that thing spikes kind of out of its range. So that's that. Now the other thing I want to show you is probably the thing I'm most excited about right now. You've heard me talk about the profit bomb trade. I've talked about that for a couple months now. I've been working on trying to develop it and kind of hit a few hiccups. I was making slow progress until this last week. I've made significant progress, and last week I showed you a little setup for it that where I kind of screwed up that day, and the flat line was just a little bit below the zero line, which I ideally want to create those profit bomb trades where it's above the zero line, like floating entirely above zero. So when the trade is completed, there is no risk whatsoever. It's a floating trade, like an anti-gravity trade. It's just floating in the air above the zero line, which means that worst case scenario, no matter what happens, you're going to walk with some sort of profit. And best case scenario, you have these free lottery tickets in there where you can make money. So let's take a look at today's. Today's was a doozy. Today's was beautiful. So let's go to the SPX. So here's today's trade that we did. And again, this is a real money trade I put on, and I didn't put this on at once. I put it on in stages. And this is the profit bomb. This is what I've been working towards. And today was probably the best one that I've done with real money. And you can see that this whole graph, this is on the SPX, and no matter what happens on this trade, if we zoom way out, we're totally above the zero line. That pink line is all funky looking because that's like the current P&L line, but these are 0 DTE options, and the market is closed. So I'm going to get rid of that just because it's kind of noisy and it's distracting. So this trade is already closed. So the blue line is the expiration line, and what you see is what you get at as of 1 p.m. California time today when this trade closed. So again, if we zoom out, you can see that no matter what happens on this trade, we're going to make at least 385 bucks all the way down to zero. If it suddenly crashed to zero, I'll make 385 bucks. If it lands anywhere all the way up to this point, I'll make 385 bucks. If it goes totally up, like to infinity and beyond, from this point forward, I'll make 385 bucks. I can't lose it all in the outer edges. And then in this middle section here, where the profit bombs are laid out, like mines in a minefield, you can see that we have, again, the worst case scenario. If we land this little bit, if we finished trading in this little area here, we would have made 385. So a profit of 385 bucks is the worst possible case scenario. That's the worst that can happen, which ain't that bad. Not too shabby. Pretty good, if you ask me. I mean, that's the worst case, is make 385 bucks on this. But you can see that these profit bombs are laid out here waiting to see where the SPX is going to settle at. And since the SPX is a cash settled index, I don't have to take these trades off. I can just let these be. I can walk away, and this is what we're going to wind up with. So wherever it winds up, the cash will be either put into or taken out of my account as the final profit and loss. So there's no assignment risk. There's nothing like that. It's just wherever it lands, that's what the profit will be. And so you can see in this case, if it had landed in this one here, they're all pretty even because they're all just one butterflies. And that's the other cool thing. This is just a one contract trade. And you can scale this thing up. I mean, if we had 5, just imagine if we had 5 of these on, we could just take what we're going to see here in a second, times it by 5. If we had a 10 contract, it could be 10. And this is a one-day trade. So this was initiated this morning on 0 DTE options. And this closed down at 1. And you can see we wound up with a profit of, it landed right here. So our profit on this trade is going to be, or is, 667 bucks. So again, the worst case scenario, the worst thing that I would be looking at would be a profit of 385, which is great. It wound up on this blue line right here, not at the top of these. That's the ideal point. And you just want to give this trade as many opportunities to land at one of these peaks as possible. So I want to lay in as many profit bombs as I can, scattered throughout this area, with the hope that the odds are that at some point, I mean, if there's enough and if they're close enough together, at some point, one of these are going to hit. But even if they hit here, it's still good. So this was a profit of 667 because it landed right there. But it could land anywhere on this blue line. And the higher up on the blue line for each of these, the more profit you can make, up to, like, say, a total profit potential. If it hit right on that tip, if like we got super lucky and it landed right there, we could make up to 1,377 bucks. So this is the profit bomb trade. And like I said before, this is a trade I've been working on for a couple months, and I was running into some hurdles and some challenges, but the floodgates, it seems as though the floodgates may have been opened or are opening. So I'm making a lot of progress on this. I'm trading this live now every day, and I'm going to start to scale. And I want to slowly introduce this. And so I'm going to be looking for, like, say, a beta test group of folks who are interested in learning this strategy from me, personally learning this strategy from me, where we can get on Zoom calls and I can just kind of walk you through the whole process, the whole strategy, how it's put on and whatnot. I can show you the videos that I'm doing. I'll be starting to make videos of the entire trades and just show you and teach you exactly what I'm doing as I'm finishing up this final stage of developing this trade. And so this is at a stage now where I'm comfortable to begin planning to, like, put together a little beta group first, like, say 10 traders, maybe 10 folks, and personally show this to them, get their feedback, and just see if they can replicate what I'm doing. Because that's the next part. I want to make sure that this isn't something that just someone with experience can do, that this is, like, simple enough, or that I put the training together in such a way so that it's simple enough that the same or very close to the same exact results can be achieved by anyone. So it's like a mechanical system rather than a kind of a gut feel or just experience. I think the market's going to turn here, so I'm going to do that, blah, blah, blah. I trade that way. And just to make sure that this isn't that instead this is a mechanical system that someone with amount of experience can still do it and get the same similar results. That's why I want to put together this first little group of, say, 10 folks who I'll work personally with and show this to. And just a couple of really fast prerequisites so we don't waste each other's time. This is something that you'll need ideally you'll need an account of $25,000 or more. So because we are going to be entering and exiting positions throughout the day. And so you don't want to be hung up with that PDT rule. So there are ways around it, but they can start to get complicated. And during this first test phase, where I'm just taking the first 10 people and teaching this to, I don't want to have to worry about that. That's just an extra layer of complexity. So for this first pass, I'm going to keep it really simple and just be potentially entering and exit positions. Now, you don't always enter and exit always with these things, so we can let them expire worthless, but there are some management techniques throughout the day that may require that. So that's the first prerequisite, an account of $25,000 or more, or so that you don't have issues with the PDT rule. The second thing is that you have a really good understanding of options, because this strategy is once you kind of see it, and once you do it once or twice, you'll see it's super ridiculously simple. But there's all that ground between not knowing anything about options at all and knowing what a butterfly trade is, and the difference between like an iron butterfly and a butterfly, and a short butterfly and a long butterfly. So just to keep everyone on the same level in this little group I'm putting together, a good understanding of options trading is needed. It'll just help out the whole group. It'll help out the whole process, at least through this first pass. And that's not to say that this can't be used by newbies, but just as this first pass, as I'm continuing to iron out the final details and trying to get feedback on the training, I just want to keep it as smooth and simple as possible. So that's that prerequisite. So the first one, again, is you need an account of $25,000 or more. Second one is you need to have a good amount of options experience. You need to know the difference between a broken wing butterfly, an iron butterfly, a short butterfly. And when I say you need to know the difference, it's not just like, let's go Google it and just kind of see what the textbook definition is. I mean, really understand it and why you may use one over the other, and just a little bit more, just kind of more of a seasoned options trader. Not a pro, but I would say a year or two under your belt would be ideal. And then the third one is that you need to have time during the day to do this. So with this strategy, you can do as many or as little as you want. You could just do this trade with just one of these. There's 5 here that I put on today. You could just do one and still get similar effect, but you just want to get that scattered bomb effect where you have a much higher probability of hitting one of those tents. But you could still create like a trade with 1 or 2 of these and have it totally float in above the zero line, totally risk-free position. But it is going to require you to be available throughout the day. And you don't have to sit there and watch the screen like constantly, but I would say the ability to check in, or if you can set alerts, if you can get an alert when something triggers or some sort of a setup is about ready to go, you can set these automatic alerts like from TOS or what's the other one, Trading View. So if you can get an alert throughout the day and you can kind of duck out for a second and check on the trade or make an adjustment or make a move on it, that would be ideal. This is going to take some attention throughout the day. And again, it's not heavy duty attention. You're not going to be sitting here staring at the screen all day long, but you want to be able to poke your head in occasionally, like every 30 minutes, every hour. So those are the 3 prerequisites for this. If you're interested in learning this with me, like personally one-on-one, and you meet those 3 prerequisites, just please reach out to me, email me. The best way to email me is go to my website and just sign up for that free email newsletter that you'll see on the front page of my website, the home page of my website. Just sign up for that and you'll get a welcome email from me sent right away. Just automatically a welcome email will be sent out to you. Just reply back to that welcome email and just let me know that you're interested in this, in the profit bomb trade, and that you'd like to learn more. And then I'll get back to you and we can go from there. So again, this is something I'm super excited about. I knew that there was something here, but this last week or two, it's really started to flesh its way out in a very simple, elegant way. So I'm really excited about this. And again, if you're interested in being part of that beta group, just reach out to me. The best way to do that is go to my website. Just sign up for my free email newsletter there. You'll get a welcome email sent to you. Just reply back to that welcome email, and in the subject line or the heading of the email, just say that you're interested in the Profit Bomb project. All right. So now we're going to go back in time. So right now it's 4:15 in the afternoon on Tuesday, July 30th. Let's go back and do our 0 DTE, our SPY Strangler trade. So we'll go back to the beginning of the day and we'll go through today's trade. Testing. All right. It's Tuesday, July 30th, and here we are getting our trade on. This is the 0 DTE SPY Strangler trade. We're doing this on, this is a test. We're doing like a test series on paper money. So here's our paper money account. Let's go to the trade tab. So this is the 0 DTE options that we're dealing with. It's a 0 DTE trade. Here's the puts over here on the right, the calls on the left. We'll go down the delta column. I'm going to look for a delta of 20 or below. So here's a 22, so that's too high. We don't want 22, 20 or below. So this 16 will be the one I'll go with. And I'll just right click there. I'll say sell custom. I'll use the Howard template. This is the Howard template, so I don't have to build this thing every day from scratch. It's just ready to go every day, which is super cool. It's nice. Change today's date. So this is, we're getting into the trade here. We're still in a naked put. And then it's a OCO order. One cancels the other order to either get out at a stop, 200%. That's our stop loss. Or get out at end of day, like with 1 minute left in the market. So let's confirm and send that. Send that off. So that one's filled. Let's go over to the call side right here. And we'll go down the delta column. Same thing, we're looking for a delta of 20 or below. So here's 16. I'll right click there. I'll say that's the template I want to use. Hey kitty, you guys hear that cat?
Order filled.
That was him. He talks. He's got a British accent. Okay, so here, let's see where we need to change. We need to put the date on this. So this is a stop out date, 7:30. Today is 7:30, and then confirm and send. So there we go. We're on. We'll go to the monitor tab. These are two orders we just put on. You can see them. And then let's go to the Analyze tab and just take a look at the trade real quick before we get out of here. So there is our Strangler. We're down 3 bean burritos. That's all right. It's early. It just started. All right, so that's it for the opening games here at these Olympics. This is the 0 DTE SPY Strangler Olympics. We're off and running, and then I'll just come back at end of day, check it out, and see how it all went. All right, see it in a little bit, or see it end of day. Okay, here we are. We just fast forwarded back in time. Now we're back to about 4:20ish p.m. on Tuesday, July 30th. And we are here checking in with our paper trading test trade today, the SPY Strangler trade. So this one looks like it got hit today. We got nailed on this one on the downside. So let's take a look real quick at the risk graph. Let me say delete. And then I'm going to load up these trades real quick just so I can see, get an idea of where we finished on the risk graph. We closed it there, or we were stopped out there. And let me say hide positions. Okay, so here we go. So, oh, that's interesting. Look at that pink line. That's not accurate. We're at the blue line. We're at the expiration on this. So there's where we wound up, and once again we wound up inside the tent, which is interesting to say. Is very interesting. I still got to do that back test and figure out and look at that. So anyway, that's where we wound up. But that's where we would have wound up had we just done nothing, just put the thing on and let it go. We would have wound up with a full profit of $69. But we got stopped out at on the 542 put. So let me go to the Excel sheet real quick. Okay, here's our Excel sheet. So today is July 30th, Is it the last day of the month or next to the last day of the month? So here's 30. Paper money trade. Let me get rid of these. And then I'm going to copy these and put them in there. So we say copy. Oh. So that was one of our opening trades. Here's another one. And then here's the stop out, the buyback. So the buyback is there. So here we go. So we brought in 38 on this one. We brought in a credit of 31 on this one. And then we got stopped out at 123. So there's our totals for the entire, since the July 5th, since the beginning. So we're coming up on the 30th anniversary day. So we're coming up on the 30th day of this, which we need to decide if we're going to continue with this or if we're going to move on to another one. And your feedback is greatly appreciated and invited. So if you have any ideas or preferences of what you'd like to see done, or even other strategies that you may want to see done as our daily tests, just please put them in the comments below and we'll see if we can make it work. So we're at $51 now, total return for the month. So we're still positive. We're hanging on by the skin of our teeth. And if you saw yesterday's video, $51, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's still like potentially a 10% return in 30 days, which is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, you know, we get sort of hypnotized, mesmerized by returns we think we can get. But a 10% return in 30 days is ridiculously incredible, really, in the big picture, in the world. It's just doing this trade every single day. Even though it doesn't take that long, it's just a couple of minutes to set up, you know, like literally 1 or 2 minutes. It's just kind of the experience, I guess, the ride of moving up and then moving back. It's kind of like, it feels like you're just spinning wheels. But you're spinning wheels slightly, or we've been spinning wheels slightly to the upside, and we've made a total of $51 at this point, which again could be around a 10% return per month. So this is strategy isn't something that should be totally crapped on. A 10% return, again, a 10% return is, people would kill for that. People, if you told people you make 10% a month, they wouldn't believe you. And here we're doing it. And we're not that excited. We're kind of disappointed. Anyway, let's see what today's actual loss was. So I'm gonna put this over here, and then I'm just going to calculate just today. So today we lost $54. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to continue this trade probably through the end of the week, at least till we hit our 30 days. The whole idea is with these daily videos is to take a strategy for at least 30 days, test it, trade it every day, a 0 DTE trade, and then see where we're at the end of the 30 days and see if it has legs and something that we're interested in pursuing. And then we decide whether to go in with real money or move on to the next one. So if you have any thoughts or preferences or ideas on that, again, leave them in the comments and I'll throw that into the mix for the decision on what we wind up doing next week. Either way, it's fine by me. All right, so that's it for this one. If you find any of these videos helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. And again, if you're interested in being in my first beta group, my first 10 folks, for where I'll be teaching and showing the profit bomb trade, this trade here, just reach out to me. Just please make sure that you fit in that criteria that I'm looking for. There's someone who has an account that's big enough to trade it daily without triggering the PDT rule. You have some options trading experience, at least enough to understand what we're doing, so we don't get hung up teaching the basics of options concepts. And you're available to do this throughout the day. And again, not like hardcore where you're just staring at the screen for 6 hours straight. Just really casual and relaxed. If you can just kind of poke your head in every 30 or 60 minutes, just kind of look at things in case you want to make adjustments and all that. So if you're interested in that, please email me. The best way to email me is go to my website. I'll leave a link to my website in the description below. Head on over there, sign up for my free email newsletter. And as soon as you do that, you'll get a welcome email sent out to you. Just reply back to that welcome email. And in the subject of the email, or the heading, the top part of the email, just put that you're interested in the new Profit Bomb project, and I'll get back to you and go from there. All right, that's it for this one. See you tomorrow.